Last night at 2:47 a.m., for no reason whatsoever, my brain decided to replay a moment from 8th grade where I waved back at someone who was actually waving at the person behind me. That happened 12 years ago. Nobody else on Earth remembers it. The person who wasn't waving at me doesn't remember it. And yet my brain has filed it under top priority, replay immediately, especially at night. Meanwhile, I walked into the kitchen 4 hours ago for a very specific reason, stood there for 11 seconds, and walked out holding absolutely nothing, having retrieved absolutely nothing, remembering absolutely nothing about why I was there in the first place. This is the cruelest joke your brain plays on you. It cannot remember why you opened the fridge, but it can remember, in full HD, the exact tone of voice your 7th grade teacher used when she said, "We need to talk after class." It remembers what you were wearing. It remembers the smell of the hallway. It does not remember your own phone number. So what is actually going on here? Why does your brain behave like an intern who ignores the urgent memo but laminates the embarrassing one and frames it on the wall? Turns out there's an actual reason for this, and it's almost funnier than the problem itself. Your brain didn't evolve to help you succeed. It evolved to help you not die. And for most of human history, the two biggest threats to your survival weren't tigers and famine. They were your own tribe deciding you were a liability and kicking you out. Getting exiled from the group back when humans lived in small bands with no backup plan, no neighboring village, no apartment to move into, was basically a death sentence. So evolution did something incredibly petty and incredibly effective. It built your brain to remember social mistakes with the same intensity it remembers actual danger. Psychologists call this a negativity bias, which is a very polite clinical way of describing what is essentially your brain going, "Let's never do that again," and then refusing to let you forget what that was, in vivid, looping, high-definition detail, specifically at the exact moment you're trying to fall asleep. Your brain treats, "I said something weird at a party in 2019, with the same emergency response system it would use for, "There is a bear in the room." Different threat level, same alarm, same volume, same 3 a.m. replay button that you never agreed to install. Now compare that to walking into the kitchen. There is no tribal exile risk associated with forgetting why you opened the fridge. Nobody in the history of human evolution has ever been cast out of their group for standing in a kitchen looking confused. So your brain looks at that information and goes, "This isn't dangerous. This isn't socially humiliating. Deleting now." And poof, it's gone before you've even turned around. This is called the doorway effect, by the way. And yes, it is a real documented psychological phenomenon and not just something your group chat invented to make each other feel better. Researchers have found that walking through a doorway acts like a mental reset button. Your brain treats the doorway as the boundary of a new event, and anything you were holding onto from the previous room, including, tragically, your entire reason for being there, gets wiped to make room for the new environment. So basically, every doorway in your house is quietly erasing your short-term memory like a tiny... Researchers actually tested this in a lab because apparently someone got funding to make people walk through doors for science. Participants carried an object across a room, sometimes through a doorway, and sometimes just across an equal distance of open floor. The ones who walked through a doorway were noticeably worse at remembering what they were holding or thinking about, even though the distance traveled was identical. The doorway itself was the variable, not the walking, not the time, just the door. Apparently, your brain treats a doorway the same way a TV show treats a scene change, and just assumes whatever happened in the last scene is no longer relevant to the plot. Which means your house, statistically, is full of tiny portals actively working against you. The kitchen doorway, the hallway doorway, the closet door you keep opening and immediately forgetting why. Every one of them is a miniature reset button installed directly into your nervous system, and nobody asked your permission before installing it. Meanwhile, your most embarrassing memories don't have a doorway. They don't have an exit. There is no door for that thing I said in the group project in 10th grade to walk through and get deleted. It just lives in your brain, rent-free, forever, occasionally throwing itself a surprise party at 3 a.m. when you have nothing else to think about. And here's the part that makes it worse. The quieter your environment is, the louder these memories get. During the day, your brain is busy. It's juggling traffic, deadlines, what to eat, who texted you back. There's no bandwidth left over for "remember that thing from 2014. But at night, when the inputs stop and the room goes quiet, your brain finally has some free time. And like an employee who's been waiting all day for a meeting to end, It pulls out exactly the file you didn't ask for. This is sometimes explained by something researchers call rumination, which is essentially your brain chewing on a memory the way a cow chews on the same piece of grass for way longer than necessary, except the grass is the time you accidentally called your teacher mom. And rumination isn't lazy either. It's weirdly committed. It doesn't just replay the memory once and move on like a normal, reasonable house guest. It replays it, then adds new camera angles you didn't even know existed. Suddenly, you're not just remembering that you said the wrong thing, you're remembering the face of the guy 3 seats over who you're now positive definitely noticed, even though at the time you were 90% sure he was just looking at the clock. Here's a fun fact that might make you feel slightly better or possibly worse, depending on how you look at it. Studies on memory bias have found that other people generally remember your embarrassing moments far less vividly and far more briefly than you do. The reason is simple. You were the main character of that memory. Everyone else was a background extra who had already moved on to thinking about their own lunch order. Your brain assumes the whole room is still thinking about your awkward wave. In reality, the room forgot about it roughly 4 minutes after it happened, possibly less if the lunch options were good. So if your brain insists on replaying embarrassing memories at 3 a.m., that's not a personality flaw. That's not evidence you're uniquely cursed among humans. That's just an overprotective ancient alarm system, originally built to keep you from getting voted off a tribe of 40 people, now misfiring at full volume over something that mattered to literally no one except you, 12 years later, at 2:47 in the morning, fully awake, staring at the ceiling. Your brain's filing system isn't broken. It's just got its priorities catastrophically, hilariously backwards. It treats your missing car keys like a non-event and your 2016 group chat typo like a national emergency. So the next time you walk into a room and forget why, don't panic. Your brain is just doing what it was built to do, deleting irrelevant information so it has more storage space for the truly vital archive of every cringeworthy thing you've ever said out loud. And the next time that 3 a.m. memory shows up uninvited, you can do what I've started doing, which is to simply say, out loud, to no one, "Yes, thank you, I remember. We don't need to do this again," and go back to sleep. It usually doesn't listen, but at least now you know why it's yelling.